Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. We begin with our land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that the ground on which we live is the traditional territory of Caldwell First Nation, of the Three Fires Confederacy, and the original people of Point Pelee and Pelee Island and its surrounding lands and waters, and that of the Huron-Wendat and Wyandot peoples. We recognize and respect the First Nations who are stewards of the land and waters of Turtle Island and who have embraced this stewardship since time immemorial. We would also like to acknowledge the contributions of other nearby First Nation communities and all original people across Turtle Island. Members of council, any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Okay, there being none. So the purpose of the meeting is pursuant to section 59, subsection 1 of the Drainage Act, because the tender price for the repair and improvement of the Howard and Burke drains exceeds 133% of the engineer's estimated costs. So a public meeting has been called to consider the tender results and determine next steps. We don't have any communications, so we're going to go right into item F, which is our drainage superintendent to present our report. Mr. McMillan.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As mentioned by Madam Mayor, we are here this afternoon, to discuss the contract pricing for the major improvement of the Howard and Burke drains, which exceeded the 133% threshold within the Drainage Act. Joining us this evening on Zoom is Mr. Oliver Moyer from Dillon Consulting. Dillon was responsible for the technical specifications and recommendations in the report, so he'll be able to help us with any technical questions that we might have. Ahead of this meeting, all stakeholders were provided notice of the tender results and of the meeting information. To start with a bit of background, this report deals with two separate municipal drains that are interconnected. I do have a bit of a graphic to show, if that could be shown at this time. Thank you. As we can see here, the Burke drain is located primarily in the town of Tecumseh and flows southwesterly towards LaSalle. It outlets into the Howard drain, which is located immediately west of Howard Avenue in LaSalle. The major improvement project for these drains was originally initiated due to the construction of the Parkway, as its construction altered the use of the lands in the area and increased the amount of water being directed into the drains. A report was completed for both drains, and the primary recommendation was to relocate the outlet of the Burke drain. This recommendation addresses the inadequate capacity of the existing road crossing under Laurier Parkway and would carry the flows from the Burke drain further south to a new outlet into the Howard drain. So on the graphic here, that's the yellow line. So the blue line is existing drains and the yellow line is the proposed new extension and road crossing. Aside from the drain extension and new outlet location, also included is in the tendered works is erosion protection, culvert replacements, and clean out of the existing drains. This work was tendered as a single project because of how close they are. The construction estimate for the tendered works is equal to $387,500, and that's from the drainage reports. A request for tender was posted in September of this year, and 3 bids were received. Bid number 1 was from South Shore Contracting at $633,684. The second bid from Nevin Construction at $749,625, and the third bid from JCS Construction at $861,633. The lowest bid from South Shore is equal to roughly 164% of the engineer's estimate. Some suspected reasons for this increase in price: the time and inflation between report finalization and tendering, excess soil regulations that were implemented after the report was completed, so after the estimate was finalized, but before we were able to tender. And the main reason that we suspect is the increase in the price of culvert material. So when we look at our projects, and even this one in particular, we do get relatively good pricing for the clean out items. Where we really see the increases is with the culverts. So just a few quick examples. Bridge number 1 for the Burke drains, that would be the new crossing under Howard. The estimate was $44,000 and the pricing received is $85,000. And for bridge number 2, it's similar. The estimate was $42,000 and pricing received was $87,000. So we suspect that the culvert material is the main reason for the price increases that we're seeing. This project involves quite a lot of culvert work, which makes it more susceptible to these changes than other drainage jobs that we've recently tendered. Council may recall I was here just last month with 2 other projects that were awarded, and pricing was below the 133% threshold. These projects had significantly less culvert work and were more weighted towards just simple drain cleanouts. Now that that's the pricing that we've received, we have more or less 2 options. Option 1 would be to move forward and award the tender to the lowest bidder. And option 2 would be to reject the tenders and repost. There's potential risk with option 2. We could receive higher pricing or no pricing at all. And we also do not believe that the factors that led to the increase in price, they're not expected to improve. Culvert price materials are not expected to go down. And the excess soil regulation isn't going anywhere. If we do move forward with awarding the tender and going through with option A, the financial impacts, I'll provide some details on that. For this project, it is a somewhat complex assessment schedule. A lot of the assessments are non-proratable, which means that the assessed party will pay the actual construction price instead of the percentage determined in the report, which is more typical for our larger drain projects. Because of this, the assessment to the town of LaSalle will not increase by the full 64%, but closer to 25%. And due to the nature and location of the project, the assessed parties are quite limited and mainly include MTO, the town of Tecumseh, the town of LaSalle, and utility companies. So there are no individual residences in LaSalle that are being assessed. And the bulk of the price increase is going to the MTO. So this project was initiated by them. It was initiated by the Parkway. Up to this point, they have covered the soft cost, the engineering cost, which was a deal that was agreed to at the time. And the majority of the assessments do go directly to MTO. And again, I'd just like to highlight that no residents are being assessed for this job. With that, I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Members of council, do you have any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Capata?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. The materials that are being used, can you describe them? Because I think I understand why the price increases so much, but I don't want to make any assumptions until I hear from you. Sure.
For these ones, the larger road crossings are concrete pipe, round concrete pipe. Under Howard, it's 1350 millimeter diameter, so 1.3 meters. And we also use plastic culverts for the smaller ones. There's a few hydropole access crossings that are much smaller, that are typically HDPE pipe. But it's that along with the construction cost too. So not strictly just the materials, although we do think that's the bulk of the increase, but also fuel costs and everything, and granular costs, everything that goes into the new crossing.
Supplemental. So the increase in price that you're seeing now, if we were to extrapolate to other projects that the municipality is going to do, it would behoove us to be ready to be prepared for what you've just told us on every other project that we do based on the totality of the assessments. Is that fair?
Thank you for the question. Overall, the inflation in the rising construction prices as a whole have not been a surprise. We've seen that on projects throughout. Where we see it highlighted on these drainage jobs is where the estimate is quite dated. So these reports were finalized in 2018. That's when they were adopted. So these are based on 2018 estimates of cost. When you fast forward 6 years through post-COVID, through the excess soils, and through general inflation and increase in material costs, that's where it's really highlighted. So that's why with the drainage ones, sometimes it's a bit of a brighter picture.
One final one, Your Worship, if you want to defer to the CAO, I'll happily wait.
Just a supplemental. We are seeing that prices for all construction projects are increasing at a much more rapid rate, where I think the non-residential construction price index is increasing on average somewhere between 6 to 12% a year. So in the last 4 years, I'm just looking at the number here before me, you know, the cumulative total over the last 4 years is somewhere around 24-25%. So, you know, again, what $1 million bought 4 years ago is probably buying us about 700,000 or so today. And it's just again, the price of the product just seems to be going more and more. It doesn't appear like, from what what we can tell is that it's the labor side, it's more of the actual material side.
Thank you, Your Worship. The CAO clarified my next question, so I don't need to ask it. Thank you.
Councillor Carrick?
It's just the usual timelines. When can we get started so that will this stuff all be booked and taken care of, so we're not doing this a year from now and the prices could be even worse?
Thank you for the question. So yes, we did receive bids already, so these are the prices if we move forward. The way that we laid out this tender, we did allow quite a large construction window to try to get better pricing. So we've allowed they could start anytime after the project is awarded, and their final completion date is March 15th, 2027. So they have basically a full year and then some. However, it is a 40-day working window once they start. So they can choose whenever they'd like to do the work there, but it won't drag on all year. So we did that to try to get the lowest price that we could.
Okay, thank you. So just once it's awarded and they get started, or once they get started, it's 40-day window to complete, start to finish. Is that what you said, right?
That's correct, 40 working days.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Burns?
I really don't have a question, but the residents are here. I don't know if they have any questions. Are they allowed to come forward?
You can come forward to the microphone, and then we just need your name and address, please.
My name is John Abbey, and I'm here from Windsor Community of Christ at 5050 Howard Avenue. My question is in regard to the assessment. We are also facing the 8th concession sanitary sewer drain, and essentially between these two projects, if there's an assessment on both, you've essentially rendered our properties worthless, and we are not entitled or allowed to take a mortgage, finance, do anything over time. It's not permitted. So then our properties would become worthless. So there are 6 of us that are nonprofits in this area that are all facing the same issue. So it's a serious problem to us because we will cease to exist and all 6 of them will have the same situation. So nobody has come to us with this in advance to say, we're proposing this, how are you going to manage this? Because we can't. So then that puts the problem back on you. So you're going to have to be able to finance this on your own because we won't be able to. That's 6 nonprofits that are in that situation.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, the property that you represent is not assessed for this project. So those properties that the nonprofits in that area there, they are included in the assessment schedule the maintenance schedule of assessment. So what that means, when we do a drainage report, we set the amounts for the construction, and that's done in the construction schedule of assessment, in which you are not named. And we also lay out for future maintenance. Future maintenance is usually much less money, and at that time you would be notified. So if we, in say 5 to 10 years, do some maintenance on this drain, you may be assessed at that time. But you are not assessed for this construction, and these prices will not impact you.
That's a breath of fresh air we appreciate hearing. Thank you very much for the clarification.
Any other questions or comments? Just state your name and address, please. Just hit the button, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Robert Sherman at 5020 Howard. Just want to I think I heard you say that any of the residential properties in that region are also not assessed for this project, only maintenance.
That's right. So similar to the previous response, when we do the report, everybody in the whole drainage watershed area is included, and you do have to be notified, and that's why you've all received this letter, but you are not assessed for the construction.
So in other words,
that's
this is a
recommended.
correction of a design flaw in the Parkway construction project.
I wouldn't quite say a correction, but it's
architectural-
ancillary work that's
I
necessary.
work in the architectural industry,
Sure.
so this is clearly a design flaw that they should have taken care of as part of that project.
That's okay. You don't have to answer any further. Thank you very much. Thank you. So just for clarification again, the three being assessed is MTO, Town of Tecumseh, and Town of LaSalle.
Sorry, there are also utility companies assessed. So Hydro One owns a piece of property, and there are two different departments from the town of Tecumseh that are being assessed, as well as Union Gas, but it's not private residents.
Thank you very much. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, we do have a recommendation, and that is the report of the drainage superintendent dated October 24th, 2025, regarding consideration of tender results for the Howard Drain and Burke Drain major improvements be received, and that the project be awarded for the bid price of $633,684 plus HST to South Shore Contracting of Windsor, Essex County Incorporated. Moved by Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Riccio Spagnolo. Got it tonight. All in favor? And that carries. So we do have a bylaw, and it's that the following bylaw be given a first, second, third reading and finally passed. 2025-094 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between South Shore Contracting of Essex County Incorporated and the Corporation of the Town of LaSalle for the Howard Drain and Burke Drain improvements. Moved by Councillor Reno, support by Deputy Mayor Capata. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you for joining us. Meeting adjourned.